we know that there's a lot of different types of scams on the internet and online in general, and a lot of them are like targeting teens. So can you tell us what techniques do they use to specifically target teenagers?
Yeah, so there are a few types of scams. For example, on social media, somebody reaching out to ask you to send compromising photos of yourselves. Those then can be used for blackmail. There's also things like job scams or scholarship scams where someone might reach out and offer you something like a work from home job that you don't have to do very much hourly work to get a very high payment. There's also things like cracked game advertisements that can lead to malware. So those of you who like to play Fortnite might be looking for skins on YouTube, and the link there actually leads to something bad on your computer. There's things like online shopping or business imposter scams. They'll set themselves up, try to get people to buy stuff off of them, and then they disappear after you pay for an item. There's free stuff scams. So anytime that something says it's free, but you have to pay for shipping, that is a little bit suspicious. There's also, of course, general phishing, trying to steal your information and your money, or potentially trying to get malware on your computer or your phone. And finally, we have things like payment scams. So things like Venmo, Cash App, or cryptocurrency. Someone might ask you for a small fee to get a lot of money in return, but those just aren't true.
Now, one of the things that I notice is that they will have lots of different types of, I guess, like red flags that we kind of should be looking out for, that they kind of have in common. What are some of the red flags that you would say teens should look out for across all of these different types of scams?
Of course. So if we think about how they're scamming people, it really comes down to something called social engineering. You can kind of think it like they're being a con artist. So someone wants you to do something like send photos or money or click on something bad. And that's actually social engineering. It's psychologically manipulating you to influence you to do something. Really, this is just the bad guys trying to hack your brain. They want to make you feel a certain way, like happy, stressed, excited, to make decisions that you otherwise wouldn't. So the position of authority is one that we often see, right? They want you to seem like they're really legitimate and authentic and somebody who has some sort of authority over you. They have prolonged conversations. They try and make you trust them to really draw it out. Oh, if you send me X number of cryptocurrency and you'll get a larger number back, that is typically indicative of a scam. Other things like isolating you from your friends or your peers, or say, oh, don't tell your mom and dad about this conversation. Don't tell your friends about this conversation. If you're having that type of interaction and someone tells you to keep it a secret, that is an indication that this could be malicious. Something that's newly registered. So if you see an account that has a very short lifespan, maybe within a few days or a week, that's an indicator that it's definitely suspicious. Things that have been set up exclusively to sell things and have a lot of people that they're following or trying to target with information, but not a lot of information about themselves or the products that they're selling. That's another red flag.
These red flags are obviously really common. And so when we see them, we might not like pay too much attention at first. But then if you feel like you are hearing this now and then you're like, wait, it sounds like something I'm familiar with, like maybe you're already involved in a scam. What can you do if you feel like you're already deep in or you're already involved?
Well, the most important thing that you can do is to tell somebody, talk to somebody, whether it's your friend, you can say, hey, I had this weird interaction. Can you gut check this with me? Whether it's your parent, your mom or dad, a school counselor, somebody that you can go to and say, can you help me out with this? I think I might have gotten myself in a little bit of a pickle here. It's also very important to just kind of cut off that access. If you don't know or you don't trust this conversation, cut off the access, stop the conversation. Don't let them continue contacting you or engaging with that potentially malicious person. It's really, really important to talk about this because it happens to a lot of people and they feel ashamed or like they did something wrong because they were a victim of a scammer. And that's just not true. It happens to a lot of people. I always like to say there's a social engineering lure for anyone. And anyone can become a victim of a scam. So it's best to talk about it. And the more that we talk about it, the more people can be aware of this and hopefully prevent them from falling victim in the future.
I one time had my sister send me a photo of a letter that came in the mail. And she was like, what is this? Oh my gosh, is this real? Mm-hmm. Immediately, I just looked it up. Like I just did a web search for the exact words that were in the letter. And immediately the top results were like, this is a scam. This letter is being sent out to people. It's not real. So if you're not sure, oftentimes even just searching the exact wording that's being used, because other people will be posting about it and saying, flagging this is a scam.
Mm-hmm. And oftentimes these scammers work off of playbooks. So they use the same language, they use the same conversation tactics, they use the same, oftentimes email addresses or usernames or things like that. That's a really, really great point. Yeah. Stop what you're doing. Look it up. Say, is someone else seeing this? If you're, even like a Google search or looking up on social media, if other people are talking about it, that's definitely a great way of validating for sure.
So, what can you do if you feel like you want to be a little bit more proactive? Like, you don't want to wait until some of these scams are coming your way and then you're like, I have to try to get myself out of it. What can you do to proactively like protect yourself against these online scams?
Yeah. So one thing I think helps a lot is making sure that you're kind of private, like you're not putting a lot of information out there, because oftentimes these scammers will build a profile of you based off of the things that you're sharing on the internet. So they really want to get to know who you are to be able to write a good lure for you and something that you might be likely to engage with. So really being mindful about what information you're sharing on the internet, as well as who you're talking to, can be very, very important. Restrict your social media sometimes, make sure that you're not oversharing and building these profiles for people to look up information. It's also just try and be educated, like think about it, see how some of these things are popping up in the media, what experiences other people are having. I know that there's a lot of great information from people who are sharing their own experience on getting scammed on things like Instagram or TikTok or other social platforms and say, hey, this happened to me, like watch out. So trying to educate yourself about what's out there can be very, very helpful too. And then, of course, again, if you are targeted by something like this, ask a friend, talk to somebody. This idea of, oh, don't share this with people, or, trying to isolate you from your friends and family, that is not good. And if that is happening to you, that's a sign that you probably should be sharing this with someone else. If someone asks you for money or you're making a financial transaction, make sure that they are the legitimate account. It's somebody that you know on Venmo or Square Cash or whatever application that you're using. Make sure there's a way for them to validate their identity and you're able to know for sure that they're a legitimate person receiving your information, and you'll get in return the goods or services that was promised.
Here are some vocabulary terms for today's episode. Phishing. This is a type of cyber attack that tries to trick you into revealing your private info. For example, I got an email asking me to click on a link so I could update my payment information, but I quickly realized this was a phishing email because the logo didn't really look quite right and the sender's email address didn't even match the company. Social engineering. This is when bad guys use psychological manipulation to make you fall for a scam. For example, let's say you get a text from an unknown number that's claiming to be your boss. They'll say they need you to go out and buy some gift cards and that they're going to make sure to reimburse you. So they might say, like, I'm in a meeting right now and I can't talk, but I need this done ASAP. That is a type of psychological manipulation because it's an authority figure, right? It's your boss telling you that this is urgent. So it means that you won't have time to stop and think or even do some research to see if it's legit. Malware. This is malicious software that can infect a phone or a computer. For example, I have a friend who works in tech that told me you always need to update your phone and computer software often because malware attacks are more likely to infect a device when it's running outdated systems. Info stealer. This is a type of malware that steals your sensitive information. For example, if you're trying to download a video game mod, but the website you're on is looking a little suspicious, they might actually trick you to download an info stealer that will take your email address and your credit card details. For our Learn More segment today, I invited my friend Nadine to tell us a little bit about her story. She went to high school in Vermont, and while she was there, she ended up dealing with a really unfortunate experience that she wants us all to learn from. Nadine lost $12,000 to an online scam.
The thing that upset me was that it was money that I was saving from my braiding business because I do hair.
It all started last February when Nadine got interested in crypto because of some TikTok videos that she came across. She started following this one influencer who explained that you could get rich from investing in crypto.
It sounds like unbelievable, but I was like hooked. So like I went to her page and I started watching her videos, and she was talking about how she like got into cryptocurrency and how she's made a lot of profit from that.
Nadine was inspired by seeing someone who looked like her reach this level of success and making a lot of money.
She's a fellow Black person and she's also Christian, so she wouldn't lie to me or anything, or like try to cheat or try to scam me, kind of, I guess. So I messaged her and was telling her like how I was interested in cryptocurrency and like I want to learn more about it. So like right when I followed her, like account followed me back. What I didn't know back then was that the account that followed me back was not the account that I followed. It had like a different kind of username. This account had 31 on it, that which was different from the account that I followed.
Ooh, that was a red flag. Like Selena told us, you want to make sure that the person you're talking to really is who they say they are.
I didn't catch that. Everything is the same videos, same pinned videos, same profile picture. I saw like how she had like multiple accounts, so I was like, that's strange. Why do you have like multiple accounts? So she texted me. She was like, "This is my original account that I talk to clients with. So like, don't worry about those other accounts."
Usually, when something feels even a little bit wrong, it probably is. But in this case, the scammer convinced Nadine to just ignore her suspicions.
So like after I gave her number, we started talking on WhatsApp, and like the first thing is like we didn't really get to like start learning about it. Like she started asking me like, oh, personal questions. What's your name? Where you from? And stuff like that, like to get to know me better, I guess. And like that's like one strategy I guess they use.
Yep, that's another red flag that Selena mentioned. Online scammers will ask you right away about lots of personal information. They try to build up trust by seeming interested in you, and then that personal information could be used against you later. To be clear, just because someone's being friendly doesn't mean that they're trying to scam you. But you gotta use your best judgment when someone you don't know is asking you for personal details.
So after that, she started showing me how I can buy Bitcoins on Cash App.
Basically, this scammer told Nadine that she could buy crypto on Cash App and then transfer it over to some other site. It was a whole complicated process and not actually how Bitcoin works. But Nadine didn't know that. The website looked legit to her, and these graphs kept showing her profits going up and up and up.
I didn't put a big amount in the beginning. I started like by 500, 1K, 2K. And that's how, as I saw the money growing, I felt like comfortable to put more and more money.
Nadine didn't realize it, but that was another red flag. The amount of money she was earning seemed too good to be true.
That's when it got to the point like where I was like, okay, it's time to withdraw the money because that's all the money I have.
But when it came time to withdraw the money, that's when trouble started.
When I was talking to her at first, like she was like replying like instantly, like, but when I want to take the money out, she started taking like 3 days to reply. That seems like kind of off.
Again, Nadine suspected something was fishy here, but she was already caught up in the scam.
Finally, she was helping me to withdraw the money, and she was like, go on the app, Instant Finance, and click withdraw. When I was about to do it, it said that you need a withdrawal code. What's the withdrawal code now? I was confused. So they were like, you need to pay 4,700 to get the withdrawal code. I didn't know what to do because I didn't have that money anywhere. So that's when I told my teacher about it, and she started with searching the website. That's when we knew that I got scammed.
See how Nadine went to talk to a trusted adult here? That was exactly the right move. Nadine set up a GoFundMe page and her community came together to support her. Now, she did not get all her money back, but it was enough to help her start college in the fall. It's really hard to talk about these things and to admit when you've made a mistake, but it's so important in order to help educate other people by speaking up. So I want to say to Nadine, thank you so much for joining us and sharing your story.